Hey guys, and welcome to episode 21 of our weekly Super Smash Bros. Ultimate News Roundup, which means there's only 5 weeks left until the game is out. 5 weeks! Oh my god. 6 felt close, 5 feels insanely close. As usual, we're joined by Ash and John, but no Derek this time. He's hard at work working on analysis, but he'll be back next week, don't worry about that. And we're going to go over all the updates on the Smash Bros. Blog and elsewhere from the past week. So let's get right to it. And before I do, real quick, I just throw out there, this is probably going to be a bit of a looser discussion than usual, partially because we're all like running on fumes from covering the Smash Bros. Direct. So if anyone falls asleep at any point or skip anything obvious or say something stupid, please forgive us. We've just been working non-stop on the Nintendo Direct. And also, real quick, we have a brand new theme song thanks to Peach Toadstool for making it for us. I think it captures the epicness of Smash a little bit better than our past one did. Anyways, with that, let's get right to it for real this time, starting off on Sunday being day 1 with a character overview of Zero Suit Samus. The new description reads, although not as powerful as Samus, her speed is exceptional. Her Paralyzer not only has the ability to stun opponents, but it can also turn into a whip. For her final smash, she dons her suit and fires a powerful laser. And that really seems to be the biggest difference this time around to Zero Suit Samus, at least based on what we've seen so far. Because she hasn't been playable really up until very recently, I believe. I mean, super recently. So I guess we'll talk about her in a more general sense. So yeah, what are your thoughts on her being back, as well as her revised Final Smash?
I think she's looking a lot better just in terms of her visuals, her character model. If you compare her to her Wii U character model, her suit is all shiny, kind of has like a shiny texture to it, where in Smash Ultimate it's kind of almost more matte, and her physique looks better. She's a little leaner. You can tell that she has more muscle definition, which makes sense for a super athletic character like Samus. So I just think she looks a lot better here. I will say I can't stand the way this blog entry is written, because it says, although not as powerful as Samus, as if Samus is a separate character. It's like...
Right. That kind of ties into my whole dislike in general, having them be two different character slots. They're literally the same character. They're the same individual.
Ash has a great point, though, that she is way more defined than she was in Wii U, and I didn't really like how she looked in Wii U, because she was just very sleek and slim, which doesn't make much sense for what Samus is, because she's meant to be this really strong bounty hunter. And the Metroid series is always trying to go like back and forth on this, because sometimes Zero Suit Samus is like a Barbie, other times she's a bit more, like she is here. And yeah, I think they kind of nailed it. They've made her look like an actual, like she can fend for herself in her model here. Whereas a lot of the time, I think they maybe make her look a little bit too
cartoonish, exaggerated perhaps.
Yeah, a little bit too exaggerated, I think.
To other Emmy.
Yeah, I actually I pretty much agree with that, I think. I think they found a good middle ground here, although I will still stand by me much preferring the original Metroid Prime Samus. However, again, I think they found a good middle ground here. Her proportions seem much more realistic this time, and I just really like what they've done with their Final Smash. I like that it's interactive with you being able to control the laser blast, and it still looks pretty cinematic too.
I will say about her Final Smash, I was actually a little disappointed in the change, only because it's essentially Samus's Final Smash, just from a different perspective. It's really the same, literally the same thing. She just fires a huge beam from her cannon, her arm cannon, which is cool. That always looks cool. But Samus already does that, and I thought that Zero Suit Samus having the gunship to actually fire on opponents was, it's kind of a cool twist to her Final Smash. So, as cool as it looks, I kind of wish it wasn't just Samus's Final Smash from a different perspective,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, because they've pretty much changed the characters entirely. Like, they have no moves that are the same with one another, with Samus and Zero Suit Samus. But then their Final Smash all of a sudden is basically a carbon copy, so... Yeah, I get where you're coming from. It's kind of weird.
What would be really cool is if they actually had a Final Smash that tied into her being a bounty hunter, because she totally isn't a bounty hunter in the games themselves. I don't know why they keep calling her one, because she very much never does anything related to that.
That's true.
So it'd be cool if she, rounded up her opponents and, just, took them onto the gunship, for instance. Like, she's collecting her bounty for these characters.
Yeah, there's 2 bounty hunters in this game. There's her and Captain Falcon. So
both of which never do any bounty hunting. Yeah. They're the worst bounty hunters ever. Well, let's go ahead and move on to day 2, being Monday, where we got a stage overview of the living room. The description reads, this stage is based on the Nintendogs games. Check out the antics of the animals in the background, a total of 5 different puppies and a cat. Be careful not to get hit by the falling blocks while you're distracted by their cuteness. This whole stage really is just adorable in general, with the different toys in the background. You have the TV, in which you can see even more Nintendogs on it. One, in this case, is wearing the Mario hat. And I love how the puppies just run around in the background, just having a fun, good old time, while you're fighting to the death in the foreground. I feel like we're a bad influence on those poor little puppies who shouldn't be subject to our antics.
Right.
I can't wait to play as Isabelle and Duck Hunt on this stage and just have a dog match with dogs in the background.
Nice. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting Isabelle's a dog. That's right.
Yeah, no, I will be picking this stage a lot. This is one of the stages I most wanted to see make the, the HDification from Smash 3DS. Just because I love dogs. I'm a dog lover, and this stage is basically all about dogs. It's the Nintendog stage, so... Yeah, I see myself picking this a lot, and as you said, Andre, I do love the extra definition we get in the TV screen for the Ultimate version, where you can see the dog wearing a Mario hat, and I think that's a little kitty next to him wearing a Luigi hat, which is really cute, and this whole stage is adorable. I will be picking this stage probably far too often, but I can't help it.
Labdorable.
Oh, that no. Nah.
Wasn't this stage in Wii U, by the way, as well?
I think it's just 3DS, I think.
Just
was
3DS.
It just 3DS? I swore, man, I thought it was in Wii U as well. Okay, well then it definitely looks good here, so...
Yeah, it looks really good. Like, in the 3DS version, the entire garden area looks just like a flat image. It looks like it's literally a PNG. Whereas in Ultimate, it actually looks like they've actually rendered the outside garden, everything is in full definition. And yeah, it looks really good. And I guess we can say that for every single 3DS stage they've remade in Ultimate, but this one in particular just stands out a lot for me.
It's so funny how, like, technically this game has the fewest amount of brand new stages of any Smash Brothers game, ever. However, at the same time, so many of these stages might as well just be new with how much they've been upgraded visually. And then when you add on to the fact that I barely played the 3DS one beyond the review period, these really might as well be new stages to me.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people, actually. Like, I feel like a lot of people put Smash 3DS down fairly quickly, relative to other Smash games, of course. And, there are those stragglers out there who may not have had a Wii U who probably only play Smash 3DS, but for the majority of the community, I feel like these 3DS stages are going to feel pretty new.
Alright, well, let's go ahead and move on to day 3, being Tuesday, where we got character overview for Rosalina and Luma. The new description reads, Luma mimics Rosalina's attacks. Luma also increases Rosalina's reach and can even take a hit for her. If Rosalina gets hit, Luma gets very flustered and flutters both hands. And there's a few other interesting differences here too, thanks to Smash Wiki for pointing them out, including the fact that Rosalina's dress now has independent physics. Her shield will also now cover Luma as well, which should be nice. Luma now panics when Rosalina takes damage, preventing her from controlling it while she's in a hit stun state. Rosalina has a new neutral aerial where she spins her wand around herself. And finally, her gravitational pull move can now equip items instead of only pulling them toward her. So these are some of those are some pretty big differences, including like the shield, for instance. So yeah, what do you guys think about Rosalina in particular, as well as some of these changes?
When I first got Smash 4, I think I tried to main Rosalina, and it was successful for a while, but then I, for some reason, just lost control with her. I love the idea of Luma being like independent of her and trying to control two different entities at the same time. I guess it's like Smash 4's version of the Ice Climbers. But, I don't know, for some reason, I just got worse and worse as her. So maybe that's going to change in Ultimate, but yeah, I don't know what happened with her, but I lost my skill for some reason. Yeah,
it's funny, like, when she was confirmed, I was super excited about Rosalina, because she's one of my favorite Mario characters, and I'm like, okay, I really was hoping she'd be in Smash, I want to play as her, and then the game came out, and I couldn't get it together with her, kind of like you, John. I really wanted to play her, put her in my main rotation, but I'm just not that good with her. I'm not good at controlling Luma independently of Rosalina. And it's funny, I also have a love-hate relationship with this character in Smash because she's a great matchup for Mega Man because she can, pull in all those projectiles. So I hate fighting Rosalina, and I want to love playing as her, but I don't, unfortunately, just because I can't get it together with her, like I said. But all that said, she looks really cool here. Her character model doesn't look all that different from how it did in Smash Wii U, but I think it's really cool that her dress has independent physics now. And it does seem like they've changed up her gameplay a little bit, in terms of how her shield covers Luma now, and how when she gets hit, she can't control the Luma. So it seems like they kind of went back to the drawing board a bit with Rosalina and Luma, because I know there are some early concerns with Smash 4 that she was a little OP. So I think it's good that they kind of retooled her a little bit, and I will say that I love watching high-level Rosalina players, though. They do some crazy combos with Luma, and it's really cool to see.
I mean, if any character's going to be OP, should it not be Rosalina, who'd literally reset the entire universe?
Yeah, good point.
Good thing I think you said there about the gravitational pull there, Ash, with Mega Man. That's a move I always forget to use, and I think the change of making her actually equip items instead of just pulling them in, I think that's going to get me using that move a lot more.
Yeah, it gives you a good reason to actually use it now, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, playing as Rosalina has always been a little bit like patting your stomach while rubbing your head. You're trying to control two characters somewhat independently, like even more so than Ice Climbers. Because you can have a good time with Ice Climbers without really fully understanding exactly what you're doing, whereas that's not necessarily the case with Rosalina and Luma. You lose Luma, you're kind of in trouble for a while. So, I mean, that's the case for Nana as well, but Luma's especially easy to lose, I feel like, compared to Nana.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to trying her out, seeing if these changes make a difference. I always thought she was fun to use. She's just definitely a more technical character, and that's why it's kind of easy to get discouraged with using her if you're taking on people who know what they're doing with their respective characters. Well, let's go ahead and move on to day 4, being Wednesday, where we got Assist Trophy for Klaptrap from Donkey Kong Country, of course. The description reads, moving back and forth on the stage, Klaptrap jumps at the nearest fighter and repeatedly bites down. It may be small, but attacks from its strong jaws are dangerous. So yeah, I kind of love this guy. I've always liked, well, anything from Donkey Kong Country, to be frank. But Klaptrap has been kind of a favorite hazard of mine whenever he appears in the game, such as the Mario Tennis stages where he'll like latch onto you and he just won't let go. So it's always fun to see a character from that series return in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add beyond that. I mean, like you said, he's a really cool assist trophy. I'm really happy to see him here. Anything from Donkey Kong Country, I'm happy to see in Smash Brothers. And Klaptrap's awesome. It's one of my favorite enemies from that game, and it kind of the way he behaves in Smash Brothers kind of reminds me of those few bonus stages he would show up in, where he would just kind of go back and forth, jump once in a while, and you had to avoid him or else you'd lose the bonus stage. And yeah, it's just really cool. It's a great throwback. This is definitely one of my favorite new assist trophies.
Speaking of throwbacks, though, it's been a while since we've really seen Nintendo acknowledge the original Donkey Kong Country trilogy. I think we had a Kremlin in Smash Run, but that's more or less it. You know, they don't really talk about these guys very often, or at least even showcase them. So it's great not to just have K. Rool, but also have an enemy from DKC, the original trilogy, in this game.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
They have been kind of shafted. Like even in the original Smash Brothers, the only enemy you'd actually see were the I forget the actual the vultures flying in the background. Even then just
oh,
barely,
they're Neckies,
so.
I think.
Neckies. There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm ashamed. I should have known that offhand. I'm gonna blame the tiredness on that one.
But saying that, also there's also nothing from Tropical Freeze in this game either. So maybe they're just not acknowledging anything.
I am still disappointed that we didn't get the return of the Donkey Kong Country Return stage, which I don't get at all, because that's a perfect stage for 8-player Smash, one would think. And now that every stage works with 8-player Smash, why isn't that one here?
Yeah, I always thought that stage was fun too. And I can't think of a good technical reason they wouldn't have brought it back.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen some people say it's because of the stage morphing feature, but I don't know, because why can't it just morph you into the foreground when it changes?
Yeah, or just don't allow that one stage then.
Yeah, disable it.
Right, exactly. I'm sure they had their reasons, but it's kind of baffling to me, because it was a really cool stage that really embraced what Donkey Kong Country Returns was.
Although, I will say that my friends are lame, and every time I pick that stage, I get a chorus of, oh no, not that stage. Is that the one with the background? Oh god. And I'm like, this is fun, you guys. What's wrong with you? So maybe, I don't know, maybe they just got the feeling that it wasn't a very popular stage to be picked, and that's why they got rid of it. But personally, like you, Andre, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, especially because it was already in HD. It's the one that had to have the assets touched the least, or
right.
all the Wii U stages. So yeah, and there must have been some technical reason for it. It's just kind of baffling to me. Okay, well, let's go ahead and move on to day 5, being the final day of the week, and it's a doozy. We got quite a few things to go over, including an update about the Smash Brothers Direct itself. Now, of course, we already posted a whole discussion on it, and we'll be discussing a few other facets of it as part of today's updates. But I thought it'd be fun to touch on it again in a more general sense, now that we've had a few days removed from it, and just check in and see where we're at with it, because I think, none of us were quite blown away. Some people, some others, or maybe a lot of others, were quite disappointed by the Direct, partially because of some circumstances surrounding it, which are no fault of the game itself. So I want to get a gut check on how we felt about it now, now that we had some time to process all the information. So, John, how are you feeling now, a few days later?
It's a good question. In some regards, I feel even better about it, and in others, I get the disappointment from others as well. But I think there are some aspects they didn't really communicate that well, because I came away from that Direct not truly knowing what spirits exactly were. But then I had to research them for videos and everything like that. So the more I learnt about them on my own, the more I appreciated them. So I think maybe they could have done something a bit more to properly explain what spirits were and what made them special. Because it felt like there was like a revelation at the end of the Direct when they announced Adventure Mode. It's like, oh, spirits make sense now. But they spent like a 15-minute segment before that, and it felt like it was weirdly paced. I get that. I guess they're trying to keep Adventure Mode like there's this big secret reveal at the end, but it made a lot of the rest of the Direct feel kind of confusing in relation to that. But yeah, in hindsight though, I do think it was quite a solid showing, and I think World of Light looks so ambitious. And I've listened to that song like 1 billion times now.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at too. Is it was good but not great. Like I agree, it wasn't very well paced, and also they just really milked it. And when I say milked it, they milked it. I mean, when you're starting to go have a whole section about the help menu in the game, maybe you just should have had a 10-minute less direct. Like, have a 30-minute direct full of actually interesting information, rather than a 40-minute direct that talks to me about the tips screen, you know? It's like, I just didn't think that was necessary. I rewatched it.
Yeah, the brightness controls.
Exactly, the brightness controls, the sound mixing, and I rewatched it with my wife, and even she was like, "Why are they telling us this? This is boring. Just get back to the good stuff." And I kind of agree.
There's more good stuff they didn't even talk about, because we recently just put a video up showing like tons of new details, and classic mode looks so cool now, and they didn't mention that once.
I think the highs are higher now, looking back, such as World of Light, as well as the Piranha Plant, and we'll touch more on that soon, I think. But the lows are lower. Like, in hindsight, it was a little clunky of a direct. Some segments went on too long, such as the spirits, as I mentioned. They didn't do a great job explaining it. I'm still seeing comments asking if there are 1 or 2 separate modes between spirits and World of Light. So Nintendo didn't do a great job communicating some of those details, even though they spent an inordinate amount of time on it. It reminded me a little bit now, and this is going to come out a little bit harsher than it really is. But it did remind me a little bit when they were explaining the freaking Luigi's Mansion Nintendo Land game for like 10 minutes at E3.
Yeah.
Not nearly that same extent, but this definitely could have been trimmed a bit. Definitely cut 10 or 15 minutes from it, I think. With that said, I still think it was good overall. I think people are coming down on it way harder than they would have because of the surrounding circumstances. But again, I stand by what I said. It didn't blow me away. But looking back again, World of Light has only gone better. That music, the trailer, and we'll touch on more on the music later too. That whole thing was fantastic. And I guess let's segue real quick into something that I think we can touch on a little bit more now, especially because my analysis for it just went up, being the Piranha Plant Newcomer. You know, I think I was one of the more positive people in general coming out of the Direct, and I'm even more so the case now. I freaking love this guy. I've said before, some of my favorite newcomers in Smash are the WTF characters. This guy might just be the ultimate WTF character. No one predicted him. No one could see him coming. Like, even if you ask someone to come up with the most off-the-wall character, no one would say Piranha Plant. And I love just how different he is from every other character, how different he moves. So I am fully on board Team Piranha Plant now, and I'm guessing you are too, John?
I am, yeah. So when we had our original discussions, I was kind of siding with Ash, who he was maybe a bit down on him, and we kind of expected a bigger character to end on. But yeah, as time's gone on, after watching your analysis in particular, Andre, he just feels like a really interesting character, and he seems like really fun to play as too. But I think expectations were just maybe a bit too high, because people were expecting like all these like 7 newcomers, and obviously that didn't happen. So I guess people just wanting something a bit bigger than him, but he looks really fun regardless, though.
All right, I feel like I feel the need to clear my name here, because I'm not as down on Piranha Plant as maybe it sounds right now. I was down on the concept of Piranha Plant as a playable character, just because to me it lowers the bar of what can be considered a Smash Brothers character. All that aside, though, it doesn't matter what I think about that, because Sakurai's going to do what Sakurai's going to do. I think the character itself, especially after watching some of your analysis, Andre, I think the character itself looks really cool. I love the way he moves. I love how unique the whole character is. And look, it's still a new character. It's another newcomer. I'm not going to be down on that in the sense that, I'm not going to turn my nose down at any new character. Like, do I love the concept? Maybe I don't still, but the character itself still looks really cool, and I absolutely want to play him. And so yeah, I'm not completely down on Piranha Plant. It's just the overall concept of getting a regular enemy in there as a Smash Brothers character. But all that aside, I think he looks really cool. I agree with you guys.
Mm-hmm. So would you have still hoped for a different character then, if it were up to you?
Yeah, probably. I mean, probably, I guess. It's hard to say that in hindsight, but yeah, I don't know how much I still love the idea of having generic enemies in Smash Brothers as playable characters, but clearly Sakurai feels differently, and perhaps perhaps this is the opening of the floodgates. Maybe we'll get, maybe Waddle Dee's coming. Bandana Waddle Dee, a lot of people really wanted him.
That's true.
Now the precedent's been set, and maybe Waddle Dee fans will get their wish.
I suppose one thing about Piranha Plant is no one can say that he wasn't a surprise. Like, no one was expecting this guy.
Yep.
Whereas, if it were Gino, for instance, I'm sure would be very happy, but no, tons of people want him in. Tons of people were expecting him. Whereas Piranha Plant was just a complete surprise, and I love that Sakurai's just doing something that nobody asked for. Because sometimes the best things are the things that no one's asking for, like the things you don't know that you want.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And this whole thing reminds me a little bit of somewhat generic Mario enemies becoming playable recently and being beloved for it. So there's a change up in Mario Tennis, or Spike, or Goomba in Mario Party. So yeah, why not? Why not kind of embrace that same concept to some degree in Smash Brothers? I mean, this is one character out of what, 72, 74?
74,
74, yeah. And really when you think about it, is it really that much different from the Pokemon in the game, which are also, for the most part, not any specific character, they are just a generic Pokemon of that type?
That's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, I guess people think of Pokemon a little differently because you catch them, and they have a bit of individuality to them, I guess, but that's a good point. I mean, there are millions of most of the Pokemon in Smash Brothers. So yeah, that's a fair point.
I look at it as more of just like a broadening the scope of what Smash Brothers can be. And
sure.
Why not allow more off-the-wall characters that you wouldn't normally expect in here, especially if it enables them to make them as unique as they have with Piranha Plant. I keep on calling Petey Piranha every freaking time.
I also like how they presented him. Like, their entire presentation, their entire joke was that this is not a joke. Like, even after the trailer, was like, yes, he is not an assist trophy, he's an actual fighter. I loved how they presented that.
Well, particularly with, I don't know if it was intentional, but the trailer opens up with these characters being dazed and confused, probably by the very concept of what's going on in this Piranha Plant here.
Yeah, the whole trailer, the way it was set up, I mean, even past Piranha Plant pipes up, I was like, wait a minute, I was still wrapping my head around, like, is this actually a full playable fighter? I'm so confused by what I'm watching right now.
Is this a parody? Yeah, it's a joke?
But, as long as we're getting, like, regular enemies into the roster, I want to nominate Shy Guy. Shy Guy's always been my favorite Mario enemy ever, just because he's so weird and just kind of unsettling in that cool Mario way, and I want a Shy Guy playable now.
I completely agree with you there, actually. If I had a choice, too, for another Mario character, it would also be Shy Guy. I just love those guys, I love everything about them. And what would be really cool is if he had a move, which kind of harkens back to a specific move from Killer Instinct, which I won't get too much into. However, it'd be neat if Shy Guy had a, let's say his Final Smash even, where he removes his mask, but his back's to the camera, so as a viewer, we never see it ourselves, but the characters do, and it causes them to freak out. I think that could be really fun to play into, an aspect of Shy Guy we haven't seen much of.
Kind of like Mimikyu. Like, that would be really cool, actually.
Yeah,
I
agree.
That would, yeah, that would be a great move for Shy Guy to have.
Alright, I think that's enough about the Direct itself, but we're not done for the day yet, because there's still quite a few things for us to get to, including a new music track, this time being Battle Wild Pokemon from Pokemon Sun and Moon. So Ash, do you want to give us a rundown on this track?
Sure, yeah. So this track was rearranged by Hiroyuki Kawada, who is a video game music composer associated with Namco. I'm not sure if he still works there or just worked there previously, but either way, he has worked on games like Tekken 3 and Andre You'll Like This, the Pac-Man Championship Edition series, and Pac-Man and Galaga Dimensions, as well as The Legend of Valkyrie. And he has contributed music to Smash 4 in the past, including the Smash 64 results display screen remix that they use for the results screen in Smash Wii U, the Trophy Shot theme, the main theme remix from Super Mario 64, the Luigi's Mansion series medley, and both the jazz style and tribal style of the jungle level from Donkey Kong Country. So now we know who to blame for all the different, not all the different, but the fact that there are two more jungle level remixes for Donkey Kong. But yeah, so that's what Kawada has done, and I don't know about you guys, the song itself, or this song, Battle Wild Pokemon, I'm not a fan of the original song, so this remix doesn't stray too far from that original song, and for that reason, I think, I'm not the biggest fan. It's okay, but I could take it or leave it.
You know what's funny? I never actually played Sun and Moon much myself, so the fact you said it doesn't seem that different from the original song ties in with what I was going to say, which is it sounds like it could have just been right from the Pokemon games. I mean, yeah. I like how it sounded. I think it's a good song, but it didn't sound like it was Smashified, so to speak, that much compared to some of the other remixes we've heard.
Right.
I was actually going to be quite down on it too.
Oh wow!
I love Sun and Moon's soundtrack, but this one in particular is as Andre said, it sounds like it's just from any Pokemon game, whereas Sun and Moon, its soundtrack is very Hawaiian-inspired, but I don't really get that from this track. So I wish they would have gone for maybe a more, like a more Sun and Moony sounding track, rather than just like a generic Pokemon song. And I guess there aren't any Sun and Moon stages, so maybe that's why, but yeah, there are far greater Sun and Moon tracks they could have chosen for this.
Yeah, I mean, we have already heard a remix of the trainer battle theme for Pokemon Sun and Moon. I believe that was part of the previous direct. So we have heard that, and I like that one a lot. So I wish they'd kind of highlighted that instead of the regular wild Pokemon theme from Sun and Moon, but such as it is, and I'm sure there are people out there who like the track, but I'm just not feeling it very much myself.
Yeah, I'd give it a meh.
Yeah. And John going all official on this.
Nice.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to, I think we'll all agree, is a much better track overall, being the vocal version of Lifelight, which of course is the theme song to World of Light from the Smash Bros. Direct trailer, but also according to the website is the main theme for the game. But let me go ahead and throw it to you, Ash, real quick. Can you give us any more details about this song?
Yeah, so this comes by way of Hideki Sakamoto, who we actually have profiled before because he has another rearrangement on the SmashBrothers.com website. But for now, I'll just repeat really quickly that he is a game music composer who is the representative director of Noisy Croak, which is a sound design company based in Tokyo that is focused on game soundtracks, and he has worked on games like the Echochrome series, Yakuza 2, Yakuza Kinzan, and Castlevania Judgment. He has contributed 2 rearrangements to Smash 4 in the past, being the main theme and underworld theme mashup from the original Legend of Zelda, as well as the Great Cave Offensive from Kirby Superstar. Hell yeah, great game. And yeah, Lifelight. I mean, guys, I've listened to this song a billion times already. I know you guys probably have too. I've heard it in both English and Japanese. I'm a big fan. I love the lyrics. They're so cheesy. They're so over the top. It's exactly what I want from a song like this. And personally, I think what they mean when they call it the main theme is that the vocal version of the song is called Lifelight, and that may be what plays when you boot up the game. But when you're just, you know, tooling around menus and stuff, it's still this song. It's just a non-vocal version of it, but it's still the same melody. So I think that's what they mean when they call it the main theme of the game.
Wow, what a night and day difference. But I remember I was down originally on the theme, because we've discussed this before, but this version of it, and I think we knew back then that may not have been the like the full representation of it. And this version of it is absolutely killer. It is amazing. I love everything about it. You say it's cheesy, and while the lyrics themselves may be, the song itself sounds anything but. I love how epic it sounds, and Nintendo has been on point delivering these vocalized songs recently, such as with, New Donk City's Jump Up Superstar. So I love this track. It is amazing, and it is exactly what I would expect from the ultimate version of Smash Brothers.
It sounds so good. It makes Smash Ultimate feel like more of a production than Smash 4 ever did. Like,
it does.
It feels like we're back at Brawl, like with this actual like voiced main theme.
Yeah, it feels like they had an actual budget this time, which is nice.
Exactly. Yeah. I do get where Ash is coming from with the cheesiness. It kind of feels like they came up to someone and said, "Can you please add lyrics to our main theme that we've already written?" Whereas in the Japanese version, I think it actually like flows a bit better. But maybe that's because I can't understand what they're saying.
Now, let me specify that when I say cheesy, I mean that in the most positive way possible.
Oh, I know you do. Yeah.
I love those Kingdom Hearts style, the power of friendship style, cutscenes and things like that. So when you get lyrics like this in a song that's so epic, I'm all about it. So I just wanted to make clear that I'm not calling it cheesy in a bad way.
Oh no, yeah, it's definitely cheesy in a good way. Like, it sounds really good, but yeah, it does sound cheesy. But yeah, I'm really into this, and I've just been playing it in the background whenever I'm doing stuff. It's just the actual instruments are really good too. Like, it adds a very different vibe to the main theme.
It does.
Whereas like in menus or in the announcement direct, it's kind of. It's a little bit more pumpy, I suppose, those ones, whereas this one feels more epic, and I definitely like this vibe a lot more.
Right, and kind of like you were saying, Andre, I'm with you. I originally wasn't feeling this melody. Like, back when they originally revealed the E3 version of the main theme, at E3, of course, I was like, it's fine, it's cool. I don't really like it as much as Smash 4s or Brawls, but it's cool. And then the menu version, leaked out, or maybe it didn't leak, but either way, the menu version was posted a few weeks ago on YouTube, and then I was sold. I was like, holy... wow, this melody is great in the menu version of the song. And then Lifelight came out, and the vocals, and I'm like, okay, you guys sold me. I'm a total convert. I went from not feeling it to I'm all about this theme.
Yeah, I adore it. I am so glad the website decided to post the song in full instead of the little snippets they've been doing for the other songs.
Right.
Oh,
This is one song I don't want cutting off early.
Uh-huh. So, do you think that we're going to have an actual opening to Smash Bros. Ultimate with this song? Or is it just for World of Light?
I mean, maybe they're one and the same.
Maybe.
That's true.
Yeah, that's a good point. I part of me is hoping they've got like a Melee style CG opening, but that's a lot to ask, especially if they're doing like multiple cutscenes for this mode.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I'll throw out there, I don't think it'll have a unique CG opening, so it may have a CG opening, but it's probably going to be made up of things we've already seen.
Like Smash 4's opening.
Exactly, right,
Yeah.
so...
I suppose the only difference there, though, is Smash 4 had a bunch of CG cutscenes, whereas Ultimate, we haven't had that many. Like, can you make an opening out of what we've seen? Unless there's a bunch of Adventure Mode cutscenes, which it sounds like there might be.
Yeah, that's true, that's a good point, so... I love that there's still some questions remaining about the game.
Yeah, it's just a really great track, and yeah, I'm still willing to listen to it again and again, even though I've had it on repeat for basically a day, full stop, so
Yeah,
that's a
me
good
too.
sign.
It is. Alright, well, let's go ahead and move on to the final update for the day, being a character overview for Incineroar. The description reads, a fighter with many special moves that appear to come from the world of pro wrestling. Incineroar has many moves from its original game, like Darkest Lariat, Cross Chop, and Revenge. Its final smash is Max Malicious Moonsault, let the Z-Power explode and deliver a powerful blow. So yeah, we have some key points here, but really everything about this guy is a key point. He's an entirely new fighter, and I feel the same way as I did then. Actually, even more so. I think this is one of the things I feel even more positive about than I did at the time, which is also extremely positive. I'm not even a big Pokemon guy these days, and I love how he looks. He looks so fun, so different from everything we've seen before, with him being a more brawler type.
I'm kind of torn on him, personally.
Really?
It's hard to say because the character itself looks really fun to play. I'm like, I didn't think I would care about Incineroar, and then I saw, all the trailers and the gameplay footage of him. It looks really fun to play as, and I love, the pro wrestling poses that you can cancel out of. It gives Incineroar a ton of character. On the other hand, I just don't have any personal affinity for this Pokemon, and I don't like the design. I will diverge from you there, Andre, in terms of the actual design of the Pokemon. I'm just not a big fan of it. So I don't have any personal affinity for this character, which makes me want to... It doesn't make me want to play as it that much. At the same time, though, when you see the footage of it, it's really... it's just a unique character, and it looks really fun. So I'm still going to have to try him out and see what it's all about.
I think they made the right move. Like, I can't really picture any other Gen 7 Pokemon in his place now. Like, I know Decidueye was another highly requested one, but... Incineroar's a wrestler. I don't think you can get much better than that. And they actually...
And it's very unique in that sense.
Right. They've made some great choices with the Pokemon they've represented recently, like Greninja basically being a ninja, and now we have Incineroar being a wrestler. Like, they feel so different to the other Pokemon in the games. And Incineroar isn't just different to the other Pokemon, he's different to every other fighter in this game. He feels like one of the more ambitious newcomers, in my opinion. And yeah, I love everything about him, honestly. And he's not my favourite starter from Sun and Moon. I mean, I was more on Decidueye myself, but as an actual fighter in Smash, I'm all for Incineroar.
I do think it was a good pick. Even if I'm not personally a big fan of the Pokemon itself, I do agree with you, John. I think it was a great pick for the roster, and it fills out the roster with a type of character that we haven't seen before, so I'm right there with you.
Yeah, his final smash, it makes so much sense too, because his Z move in Sun and Moon basically was a final smash. It was basically made to be a final smash, so it's great that they've pretty much put it in untouched.
I do wish more of the trailer revealing it had more of the CG aspect on Incineroar, because most of the CG we see in that trailer is of Ken and Little Mac, and mainly Ken. And I love Ken, and I'm super excited about him, but you don't see as much of Incineroar in the CG part of the cutscene, and I wish you would, because he has so many cool moves that I just love to see them in CG form.
That's a good point. Yeah, basically the entire trailer, the trailer's like leading up to Incineroar, and we don't really see him in the actual trailer itself. It's just him fighting.
Right.
Yeah, good point.
And with that, we're done covering everything for the week. Except we're not done yet, because we still have to answer one of the questions from you guys, which, if you're a Patreon backer for just $1 a month, you not only get the podcast 3 days early, but also the chance to ask us any question you want about Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and we'll answer one of them each week. So this time, the question comes to us by way of Jeff Edelston, who asks, that World of Light reveal was fantastic. Do you think we'll get more cutscenes throughout? or just at the beginning and end of the adventure? If so, do you think we'll get more voice work? So John, I know you actually just did an update this morning about some more details that Sakurai revealed about the game, and I think there might have been a little clue in there perhaps as to what direction this may go, right? Can you fill us in on that?
Right, so in the menu, when you go into the vault, there is an option called videos, which is also in Smash 4. But the description is very interesting, because it says you can watch cutscenes and videos from the adventure mode. And so far we only know of maybe 1 or 2 cutscenes. We know of that one where everybody dies, and we know of the one where they become, like, dark enemies. So it seems like that's not all that's going to be in the game. It seems like there's going to be more cutscenes sprinkled without. And, you know, it could just be an ending cutscene, but I don't think an entire video option would just be lent to, you know, the opening and the ending. So I'm going to predict that there are going to be more cutscenes in this mode. So that's very exciting. So actually, to answer the question, yeah, I do think there will be more cutscenes throughout. And I hope there's more voice work, because the voice acting was one of the most surprising parts of that cutscene. And we also have our I think our third ever Zelda voice, because we have Breath of the Wild. And then the Japanese version of Full Source Adventures has Tetra trackers, where Tetra has a voice. So technically our third Zelda voice, and Pit as well. But yeah, they all have like one line each, which is kinda like, it feels like there's more in store for that.
I hope so.
And plus, we have characters in there who basically talk a lot. Well, we have Sonic and Snake, who are mute in the intro cutscene. And I think Sonic in particular will probably say a line or two in the adventure.
He always has something to say. You know, it's funny, before you went into all that, John, I was going to say no, mainly because of something Sakurai had said during the Direct, which was that World of Light would be more focused on fun than on story, which tells me that that means less cutscenes. However, with your update this morning, you make a great point about, you know, the videos menu, or the videos mode, whatever you want to call it. And that, yeah, I mean, that tells me that there does need to be at least something beyond an opening and an ending. I don't expect a whole lot, but yeah, before where I would have said no, I don't think we're getting anything beyond an opening and an ending, now I kind of do. So I think it'll be minimal. I think it's mainly going to be focused on gameplay, and I don't think there are going to be that many cutscenes, but yeah, it seems like we'll get something at least a little beyond the opening and the ending, and I can't see why they wouldn't have additional voice work in those cutscenes. So yeah, I think we'll get a little bit more, but not a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with either of you guys. I think we will get more too. This looks to be almost exactly, if not exactly, what I wanted from this game. Like an epic-looking single-player mode with like full rendered cutscenes in which you see this huge array of characters interact with each other in ways you'd never see before, such as like when Sonic slows down to try and grab Pikachu and gets annihilated for it. So since we're all agreed and there will be more cutscenes, I'm gonna peg you guys down a little bit more about this. How many cutscenes do you think will be there specifically? For reference, Smash Bros. Brawl Subspace Emissary mode had 104 cutscenes.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, 104. Okay. Or to put that another way, it has about 50 minutes of cutscenes too, at least if this YouTube compilation is accurate. So I think we've seen, what, 2 minutes of cutscenes already or so? So how many cutscenes or how long are you expecting them to total in this mode?
Well, I kind of expect there to be cutscenes for all the bosses. We know of Rathlos so far, and we also know of a Brawl boss coming back. So I kind of think they'll have introduction cutscenes, and hopefully they're CG. It's a tough one, because we don't really know the direction of how this story progresses yet.
We have no clue.
We know there's a Lapras though. Like we know you can ride on a Lapras, and I wonder if that's going to be introduced in like a cutscene or something. So yeah, I'll go out there. I'll say we're gonna have 35 minutes of cutscenes.
Whoa, I like that.
All right. I was gonna go by number of cutscenes and say that I think it'll be less than 10. I really don't expect there to be a major CG focus in this mode. I think it's mainly going to be focused on the opening, the ending, and maybe a few peppered throughout. I'm not sure about the boss intros, because I think we saw one actually in the Direct where it was an intro for a robot type boss, but it was using in-game assets. It was an in-game cutscene, not a CG scene, I think. So I'm not sure about the boss.
That was the Brawl boss. But like, what if there's something before that though, like introducing the entire fight?
Yeah, and there very well may be. I am going. Maybe I'm the downer here. I'm gonna say that I think there will be less than 10 cutscenes associated, like, purely with World of Light. So I don't know how many minutes that translates into.
Take a guess. How many minutes?
I'm gonna say 15 minutes. I'm gonna say 15 minutes.
All right. So I'm actually gonna say there's gonna be 15 cutscenes, and then they're gonna tally up to 12 minutes in total. So some of them are gonna be short, I think. I'm really actually not expecting a whole ton here. In fact, I hope we get to 12 minutes. In fact, I'll be happy if we get to 12 minutes. But I hope John's estimate ends up being the more accurate one, because that would be amazing. Even like, it doesn't have to get anywhere close to Subspace Emissary to blow me away.
See, now when I hear you say that, the more I think 15 sounds too aggressive, and I kind of already thought that when I said it. So now I kind of want to amend my guess to like 10.
I'm still sticking with 35.
Nice.
The thing is, too, we have several like boss characters as spirits. Like we have Wily and Eggman. So it would be really cool if they had like actual voices and cutscenes somewhere in there. Because I really want to have like a Dr. Robotnik boss fight, and I kind of feel like there will be one. So yeah, fingers crossed for that.
Indeed. Alright, well, I think that's it for that question. So thanks, Jeff, for asking it. And again, if you want to ask your own questions in the future, you can back us on Patreon for just $1 a month. That'll give you early access to the podcast, as well as the ability to answer questions or to ask questions such as that. And on that note, I think we're about done here. So thanks for watching. Of course, stay tuned in GameXplain for lots more on Smash Bros. Ultimate and everything else Nintendo as well. We'll catch you later. Bye.